It goes sideways.
Okay. Are we live?
Says we are.
Okay. Looks like there's a person already. Let's give people a little, like a minute, a second or two, so people can jump on.
All right.
Hello.
Get things up here. Hello. Haven't done it.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
I don't see us.
I do. Can you see us, Nemo?
I can. It's just that my signal's not very good, but I'm assuming it's going still.
Oh yeah, I think it's going. We're there. Hello. Folks, we are in Minot, North Dakota.
Oh yeah.
That's what's happening right now. We are in Minot, North Dakota. We're here to give you a quick live stream, update you on, see, there you are.
Okay, good.
It's working. A quick update on what is going on. Yeah, Mary, it is because, do you want to tell them what's going on? Well, I mean, why we're here and why we're doing a live stream early, because what we have to do later.
Yeah, we're visiting my family. They live in Minot, North Dakota, and most of us are up here to visit my dad's birthday and just getting together with everybody. We spent last night at my sister Jean's house and ate a lot of food, and we're recovering from that today. We're going to get back together and eat the leftovers from last night, and just fun to visit with everyone. Almost our whole immediate family is here, and some people couldn't come, for various reasons, and some of the grandkids couldn't come because of school starting for their kids, and it's been a pretty good get together so far, and we thought that we would. We thought we would do a little live stream and just tell people, give them a little update. We're not home right now, so it's like we're not in the studio. So we want to make sure that we connect with our audience and that we, let us know that you're still monitoring everything. We're still doing the work that, even though we're on a little kind of mini vacation, family vacation, we're still taking the time to monitor Facebook, monitor the work we're doing, do research for our next show when we get back, and just keep up with everything. And it's, we thought it was important just for us to touch base a little bit. We don't, of course, we don't have a portable studio. It would take a lot to move everything to be able to do the quality of live streams we've been doing, and also the types of shows we've been doing with the video downloads and the editing we need to do in the imagery and those sorts of things. So we thought we'd just do something just kind of casual. And someone said that they saw us. Cindy did cast our music scene last night because my brother-in-law and my sister are very talented musicians. In fact, John Kirshner had a successful rock and roll band back in the 80s or 90s, and he and some other people toured around the country, and then he got out of that, and he and my sister actually run radio stations here in Minot. They run two radio stations here in Minot, North Dakota, and they used to have one in Botno, North Dakota. So they're very veteran commercial radio. They're commercial radio stations, very, very large, and serve the community here, plus a way out into the rural areas. But they're talented musicians, and they're talented people, and they're really, really good to connect with. We always talk radio when we get together because they're the big station. We're the LPFM, and just giving them an idea of the sort of stuff we're doing with our reporting and how we're using the Facebook Live, how we're doing different things with the technology we have. So it's really good to get together and share with people, and that was fun. I think it's great that someone saw that.
That was your dad.
Oh yes, I figured that.
So did you tell him that we were with family?
Yep, did all that.
Because he just tried to call you, and we were making the plans. Name sound familiar? What was the name of the band? What was the band?
Oh, geez, I don't remember.
Oh, you're talking about
John.
John. Oh, yeah. They're a very musical family. For those of you who got to see a little bit of that live stream, we're obviously we're having great fun with our family, and it's not often that we all get to, Duke has a big family, and for us to get all together is tough.
Yeah.
So when we can do it, it's just a real big treat. And so we have been depriving you. I've gotten a lot of messages from people.
Depriving you.
I've got a lot of messages from people saying, we miss you. We want to hear from you. And wow, there's been a lot of crazy things going on in the weather, for example. Obviously, you guys have seen what's been going on in the Bahamas. Florida is hunkering down. The hurricane is just moving super slow, very, very slow. And so people are in like stasis waiting for this hurricane to make landfall. And it's just hovering.
Yeah, and I'm not a meteorologist, so I don't really know. But we got some really bad weather in Fargo while we were away. Big storms, big winds, power lines down, trees down, buildings, roofs blown off on main areas of the city. So we're here, and we're hoping everything's okay at home. I think it is, because everything seems to be running. But just having to deal with some of the technical issues with our radio station. Can't do it from afar. Just working on it, and we'll be there as soon as we can to fix that.
Yes. Someone says that the hurricane is finally moving forward now at 5 miles per hour?
5 miles an hour. Oh, boy.
North. Hey, it's better than 1 mile an hour, which is where it was.
Yeah. The poor Bahamas, boy.
Yeah. Hopefully, we will not have the kind of devastation in Florida that that the Bahamas has suffered. It was just horrifying. And it was funny because Duke and I were talking about what happened in hurricane seasons following Standing Rock. It's been downgraded to a category 2 now. Wow, that's great. Folks, I like to share stories from what I have learned, because I think that giving people the benefit of our experience in our reporting can help people kind of decipher what's happening now. And one of the things that happened after Standing Rock was that many of the people that were involved at camp, a lot of them, they're veterans or the so-called street medics. We never were able to verify any kind of licensure or actual certification or actual qualifications for most of those people. Some of them did indeed have, backgrounds as EMTs or former cops or veterans. And I'm not saying that a lot of those people were lying about their service or certification or training, but there was a good number of the people that we investigated in conjunction with the Kathleen Bennett case that did not. They did not have actual certification, current certification, that were not actually practicing healers of any kind of certified persuasion, that were providing services both at camp and after, and that went on to do disaster relief after hurricanes in Houston, Puerto Rico, Florida. And what they really did, what we found, the group of people we were following from Standing Rock that had gone to other encampments and then was going to these natural disaster zones, was that they were raising money to fix things or help people with solar panels or medical supplies, etc. And there was no accountability for whether or not they fulfilled the goal of what they fundraised for. So they, I need $5,000. We're going to put solar panels on this roof or whatever. But you never saw the completed work. They raised money for hospitals. They raised money for medical equipment. They raised money for dogs. Remember, they were raising money to give operations to dogs and stuff. It was crazy, but we never know for sure what they did. What we did hear is a lot of people that got defrauded, a lot of people that got that found out that their money didn't go to where it was supposed to go. And another thing that I found really interesting was that They filled these disaster areas with people from the states, from these groups, from these con artivist groups. There's still a bunch of them in Puerto Rico. I have been getting messages from people that were watching my shows. If you want to inform yourself on how these people operate in disaster areas, watch Disaster Vultures. You can go to kpppfm.com, and in our search bar type Disaster Vultures, and you will find my show there, in which I kind of set out how they take advantage of disaster areas to raise money for themselves. Ultimately, these folks are opportunists, right? So if they see a disaster situation, they think, hey, how can this be an area for investment for me? And what did they call it at Nexus? The impact investing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Impact investing, right? Let's look at some of the comments here. No one ever showed receipts or after pics once they collected the money.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And, you know, what I was saying is that they installed themselves. They rented houses. They got the local government, which a lot of people have said is incredibly corrupt. Just like what we saw with these con artivists working with native reservations that have a lot of corruption problems. They partnered up and made hay, right? They benefited themselves out of situations like that pipeline project, and in the cases of hurricanes, disaster relief. So I was told there was people's property damage. Well, we showed people's property was damaged, people's property was stolen, people were defrauded out of thousands and thousands of dollars. And that is a pattern that we have seen from these con artivists wherever they go. But in addition to that, there were a lot of people that went to these places that wanted to invest for the future. And I had a feeling that, they were setting down roots in the community to, stay there long term and reestablish new developments. I believe that's what they've been doing in Puerto Rico. And I have an ugly feeling that that's what's going to happen in the Bahamas.
Yeah, I get nervous every time there's a natural disaster because of these vultures that have established themselves in the past. And many of them are still out there, still building their street cred based on what they've done in the past, and they continue to do the crime. So I get really concerned when these things happen because I just know that they're going to seize that vulnerability in those communities. So,
one of the things I wanted to do is put the reins in the hands of our viewers and listeners right now. So your questions can drive the conversation here. Put your questions in, and we will try to answer them, because I know that there's a lot of you out there that want me to address things that have been happening since my last show. So if you have questions about that, let me know what your priority is. Prioritize your questions, and we'll try to answer them. Here's one from Colleen. She says, what's interesting is none of these people are in jail. Why? That's my question. I just don't get it. Colleen, there's a variety of reasons why I believe these people are not in jail. As you know, Colleen, and you actually do know this, there are a lot of people that have gone to jail, right? It just took a really long time, but there are a lot of people that eventually over time went to jail. Now, what was the difference between those people and the people that got arrested immediately at the protest at Standing Rock? What was the difference? Well, the difference was that some people were allowed to keep criming, and despite the fact that they were committing all sorts of crimes and that they were doing things that we consider fraudulent, they were continually supported promoted and accepted by the organizers, organizations, groups, and leaders involved in those campaigns. They were not disavowed. When it was brought to the attention of Indigenous leaders, when it was brought to the attention of nonprofit NGOs, when it was brought to the attention of the lawyers groups, the medics groups, the healers groups, etc., they said, F you, we support and love our water protector relative. That's our relative. And they would even do live streams saying, hey, stop sowing division. So what if Marcus Mitchell pretended to get shot in the chest and lied about it and defrauded people out of thousands and thousands of dollars? Who cares? I would rather have given him my money and let him keep it, even though I know that he's a fraud and that he robbed a bunch of you, because I put up a video telling you that somebody just shot him and I should actually be feeling guilty and responsible for doing that too. But I'm not. Why? Because he's my relative. What that really translates into is, we did some crime together, and now I'm afraid we might be doing some time together. So I'm just going to keep on supporting him because we have to hide each other's crap. That's what these people really do. That's one of the reasons. Nobody rescinded their support when these people committed fraud, when these people committed crimes, when these people harassed women within their groups, their movement. I even approached certain people who I knew personally, who I knew from our community, that were helping them. There was a woman that moved from our community that was giving support to some of these con artists in Florida when they showed up there after the hurricane. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I contacted this person in fear for their safety and said, the people coming to your home are con artists. One in particular has recently been accused of rape by a woman on my show. And you posted that they're at your house, or they're coming to your house, and you're promoting them. And I wanted you to know who they are. And the response from this woman was, I know all about the rumors and I don't care. I'm safe. And I was like, okay, then I guess it doesn't matter to you that I just told you that.
Warned her.
Yeah, like, I'm a person you know, this person you don't know. And she actually admitted to me later, because later on, almost a year later, I think,
Mm-hmm.
there were new accusations against him, and a whole other variety of issues, some of them having to do with Puerto Rico stuff, but beyond that. And we talked. And she said, the only reason I helped him was because he helped my son out at the camp. And I was just kind of reciprocating. And I had heard some of the stuff that was going on. And I don't get into the he said, she said. And I was like, I don't care about that. And I'm like, well, when we protect people that are committing assaults against women as other women or as whatever, and we just say, I don't care, you're continuing to give that person your support. You're continuing to put out there, this person is something I will stand behind no matter what they do. And some people are like that. Some people require your blind loyalty in life. I don't subscribe to that. I don't think there are any sacred cows. And I think that I don't like being pigeonholed into a label under a party. I believe that we should differentiate who we wish to spend time with on the basis of our personal values and whether or not people are decent human beings to us and to the others around us. That's what I base it on, right? We're all living on the same planet. We're all living in the same country. We have to treat each other with respect. Bring your station to El Paso. El Paso, saludos El Paso. Thank you, Zaira Camacho. We try to do the best we can with the research so that we can bring you the truth. And it's funny, you know, I've been getting attacked by a certain, bird-like figure. A pendeja out there that is accusing me of being a Trump supporting, white people hating, all sorts of things, while at the same time, some of their Antifa friends, and I say they're her friends because she has seen fit to let them get away with whatever, and even has defended Antifa in videos, which is incredible to me. While at the same time, her Antifa friends are calling me a racist and a nationalist and a sellout and a white person. I have been getting called a white person. So, you know, you can't have it both ways, for sure. For one, you can't have it both ways. You have to, you know, pick something to name call me and maybe stick to that.
Yeah, quit changing and getting the confusion.
But what I know is that these labels are stupid, okay? That's what I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about, and I've learned that. I was following the left-wing propaganda for a very long time, and you know, if somebody had told me, oh, Cindy, you're just falling in line with propaganda, the minute that you step out of, you know, line and say something that doesn't fulfill their goals, they're going to come down on you like a ton of bricks. And I would have thought, no, I'm an adult. I can say what I want. Nobody's going to tell me to say this or that. Boy, was I wrong. Because when I started to uncover truths about their behavior, they didn't like it. They attacked me. And that's what's happening now from both sides.
And the thing is that we've produced material. We've produced pieces of material and done a lot of work, not to just be blatantly just slamming people all over the place. But we're getting a lot of backlash for what we've done. And things are taken out of context, of course, and our shows are long. And also they're detailed. You have to go back and listen to the 10-minute piece and then respond to it. But people aren't doing that. You know, there's some article out there that's only part of the article, and you can't even click on the link and read the whole thing. And people say Cindy hates white people. You know, in that article, it was a really extensive article. It's actually on mexi-can.org, and you can find the whole article there. But you would be able to see the whole analysis of why you would look at race and supremacy when it comes to the development of, you know, the Border Patrol. And, you know, because it has a history. And, you know, so people just take little pieces and they run with it because they're not interested in listening to the whole thing. They're not interested in actually looking at what was presented. I am when someone says something about Cindy or does a video that doesn't mention Cindy but is about her, I'm going to listen to the whole thing to see what they're saying. Then I'm going to pick it apart on what they don't have, you know, or if there's any truth to it. You know, I'm going to actually have a look at it and make a decision and make an analysis of what's going on. But these people are just throwing stuff out there because they're lazy. They're lazy.
And they haven't watched anything. They really haven't watched our shows because as our, you know, as our country grows and changes, and as the population changes and as technology changes, we have to be prepared to acknowledge all of that. We're not supposed to stay the same. We're always supposed to be growing. You know, what was true about border security and the wall in even just the last administration is no longer true today. We have con artists and smugglers working with organized crime and terrorists from Honduras like Alfonso Guerrero Ulloa organizing caravans as a weapon against Mexico and against other countries like the United States. That had never happened before. And maybe they started testing our policies, tracking back to 2014 with those unaccompanied minors to see where they could test for holes in our policies. But the fact of the matter is none of that had happened before. The reality that we have an attack on our southern border and that the majority, I would say at least half of the people serving in Border Patrol, which I once wrote Mexicans should avoid doing, because I always assume that when the crackdowns and when the accountability come, the people that are going to get punished or fired first are going to be the new people in that industry. And for Border Patrol, that's Mexicans. And you know what? I still predict that will probably happen. If people continue to attack Border Patrol and there is some kind of crackdown, is there some kind of punishment that gets meted out, a lot of the people that are going to be punished are Mexicans. But I also think it's ironic that there is such a rhetoric around the Border Patrol being racist and hurting Central Americans when the majority of Border Patrol is Spanish speaking and Mexican. So it's kind of a turn of events that has flipped the tables on the conversation. Those kinds of things need to be acknowledged. We do not live in a static world. I have talked about all of these things. I have explained why these things are important. And you know what? The local media people that know me and that have heard my stance on all of these things love to bring me on and explain why things are different now and why we need to enhance our border security, why Mexico needs to step it up, and why I feel that way now in contrast to the way I felt before, because it helps elucidate things for a lot of people of color, especially, that feel that they have to have blind loyalty to some kind of ideology told to them by a party, told to them by some campaign or some politician. We need to be people that think for ourselves and that act in the self-interest of our own country when it's time, when it's necessary. I think that the people that listen to me have the capacity to do that.
Yeah.
Now, somebody asked me, I know I'm getting backed up on the questions here, but somebody asked me, what is the newest situation? What's the update on Paloma? What is was that it? Miss Fraud is who you might be talking about. What is her latest update? The latest I have seen was that she did a video in which she is trying to do more damage control out the show. Thank you guys for sending me that little clip that was made by Conservative Truth. I think it was that a lot of you sent it to me. I really thought they did a clever little clip there from our show that was more succinct. It got to the point, faster, and showed at the end the big reveal that somebody shared that picture of Ivan Riebling. It was her. She shared the picture.
Yeah, you shared it?
I don't go on her Instagram, so I didn't ever see that. But that was great. And so what happened is she had to explain what was coming. So now she sees the writing is on the wall. People can see right through her, and she knows it. She even Freudian slipped it out in her video where she said, people are going to be able to see right through me. Yes. Yeah. Yes, they are. They are seeing right through you. And here's the thing that she keeps trying to, needle into the brains of her followers or the people that are listening to her. So what? This little detail, I was in that movie and I never told people about it. So what? There's this other little detail where I took a picture of this guy and I said it this way, but actually turned out to be completely opposite of that. So what? So what? What does it matter? Well, the thing that most people understand if you've ever met somebody that cannot tell the truth, what you'll find is they can't tell the truth even about little things, or maybe especially about little things. When I find out that someone lies about really that you shouldn't have to lie about, that most people would just not lie about. Like, there was this person that once told me they never drink water, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you need to get the hell away from me right now because you're not a real human. When you find people that they lie about little things, they're going to lie about big things. Obviously, they have no qualms. And this is something that stood out to people. She lies about everything. She lies about big things. She lies about little things. So this new video is her trying to get out ahead of the Dr. Phil show and explain to you why Dr. Phil and Dr. Phil's producers are going to call her a liar. And she wants you to believe that they're going to splice and edit stuff together, and that they're going to portray her in a light with Photoshop or with editing or with, CGI, or maybe a body double, or a person with plastic surgery, or a mask that's really good. And somebody is going to use a puppet to make her voice sound like she said this lie. But don't believe it. Don't believe it because, obviously they have that magical power out in Hollywood. And poor Paloma, what can she do about that? Well, what she could do is sue them. What she could do is, if she could prove that the things that are being said aren't true, but she can't. You see, she can't.
Plus, I'm sure that she's under contract, and also she's
Violating it.
Yeah,
Sure.
we also, if you go to Dr. Phil's website, it's hard to tell when the show's going to air. I have no idea when in September 9th their new season starts, and they've already done a lineup for that day. I don't know. We won't see anything till we get into September, so we have no idea how long it'll be before that show airs. That gives Paloma time to keep on spinning that she didn't say all these words, or they recorded her whole vocabulary, and they're going to splice together everything she said with sound bites that they recorded. She's going to have plenty of time to do that. And if the show doesn't air for a long time, which sometimes these shows they tape and they, are backlogged for a month or two. And I wouldn't be surprised if she says that they got it so it's not going to air, or something like that. So there's going to be plenty of times for the Paloma spin to spiral out of control. And before the show goes on, I'd like to see it as soon as possible because I'd like to see it, but we're not going to know anything until it airs. And also, once it airs, they're going to do snippets and video stuff. There's going to be all sorts of video.
Ooh, extra content
and all that sort of stuff. So that stuff will be there. But meanwhile, we'll have to see Paloma try to spin it away, and spin it away.
You can always tell what the spin is supposed to be, Duke, because what she always does. She repeats it. She shouldn't be called Paloma for Trump. Her name should be Parrot for Trump. She just repeats the same thing over and over again. Yeah. Probably the only thing that she learned in marketing. And she kept repeating, so whatever you see, guys, whatever you see, they put me in front of a blue screen, and I was saying, I, me, you, Amy, Melinda, like a robot. So that's what it is. That's it. And again, she repeats.
And Joe Johnson, you just said you're going to record all of Dr. Phil's shows. Do that because we have it airing in our community. I don't think it doesn't stream online that I can see. I know they put things online, but we can't actually see we can see the show when it airs. But again, it's at 4:00 in the afternoon. I don't know if we're going to be able to watch Dr. Phil every day. I'll look on the website to try to make sure that we actually maybe know when it's coming on. And we'll do a watch party or something if we know ahead of time, but we might miss it. So it would be nice if someone had everything recorded so we could actually see the full content. Because once again, I don't want to be like Paloma and just say, here's content, talk over it, not actually show it. Say I'm going to post something, say I'm going to do something, never do it. I don't want to do that. I want to be able to see the content and judge for myself what it actually means. You know, what it's actually done. What did Dr. Phil do? I mean, how did people look? I mean, what was the message of that show? That's the sort of thing that I
I'm looking for the allergy pills.
they wouldn't be in there.
Are there any in here?
I don't know. You can just wait a little bit on that.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think my eyes are getting itchy too, so I think there's cat hair on my stuff.
Oh,
Sorry, guys. I am really, really allergic to cats, and our family has cat. Anybody out there have cat allergies? Then of course I touch myself somewhere in my face and it goes on fire.
Yeah. Plus, my father and sister have a cat at their house, so we've been going to their house, and when you have someone that's allergic to cats, cat lovers don't think about. They rub the cat all over their body, all over their hands, and then they say, "Hi, how are you?"
Hi.
To the person that's allergic. There you go. The person
Yep.
that's allergic, it's you're just spreading something onto them that
It feels
their
like
body can't handle. So it's like I'm not allergic to cats, but I'm very careful. Cats love me and they'll come up to me and stuff, and I'll just pet them with my foot now because I don't want to put my hand on Cindy's shoulder afterwards and get her all allergic.
Yeah, I remember that time you almost took me to the hospital.
Yep.
We don't want to do that.
No.
Not on vacation. That's no fun. So, guys, this is the update on that. She spent a whole video trying to give a fantastical, ridiculous. Was it pendejo? Of course. Was it impossible? Yes. But that's what she was trying to do. Hey, keep talking for a second.
Yeah, in fact, she's starting to use the word pendeja, and she's swearing and stuff. And it's like, I try not to swear when we're doing any of our work, but it's like, especially when on the radio, we can't swear, and we don't ever have swear words on the radio. I go through all audio files and anything that's played on the radio and make sure that any prohibited words are bleeped out. There's even prohibited ideas. FCC is very, very behind with today's culture, but there are rules that in order to keep our license and do the work that we're licensed to do, we have to do that. But it's like people. But when that happens, you can on Facebook, you can on YouTube, people swear, and it's like, I think it's okay. I don't have a problem with it. But when someone calls you on it and then they turn around and start doing the same thing, that's where the hypocrisy bothers me. So
I just did Colleen, although it's called something else, but this is generic.
So it's generic Allegra.
It's the generic Allegra. I just took one.
Yeah.
And it works pretty good for me. As long as people keep their houses clean. Yeah, because some places, like, I'll take one of those and it's like, I can't be here anymore. I gotta go. So that was one of the questions that you had, and we will be doing more of a blow by blow when we get back.
Yeah.
I think that the next question was, what do I think about all the bullying? It's been getting worse. Was that right, Nemo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was there anything more to that question? Did I miss any part of it?
No, there's a different question though after that.
Okay.
Will Mexican Crossing Lines be doing a watch party?
On the Paloma thing?
On relation to Dr. Phil, I think. Yes.
Relation to Dr. Phil, we want to. We definitely want to. We'll try to figure out how to do that, and I'll let you know.
If it airs and we know when it's going to air, we'll plop ourselves in front of television and do a watch party. But we won't know that until we know.
Okay, so the person, and I apologize because the message went by and now I've lost it. It was, what do I think about the bullying? Oops, God dang it. Let's see. What do I think about,
Heidi E.
excuse me?
Heidi E.
Heidi, thank you. Heidi asked about the bullying, it's getting worse, and then what, Nemo?
But then she plays a victim in the next post.
Right. So one of the things that she said in her last video was that the only reason that she went on this show was because she wants to help people that are bullied by bullies.
Yeah.
Nobody believes that.
Yeah.
Nobody believes that the largest bully of them all, the most bigly bully, okay, of all of the bullies, is actually going to a show that has millions and millions of viewers because she is concerned about the social welfare of the people who are bullied, who she knows. Think about how dark this is. She says, not all people are as strong as I am. Not all people can take this kind of thing. Some people kill themselves.
Yeah.
She knows that, but she engages in bullying on a level that involves people's children, people's disabled family members, people's marriages. She plays with things, she crosses lines she should never cross. People should never cross. Only people that don't understand social norms, that don't adhere to social behavior, that don't understand how to have normal relationships with other humans, that don't have normal relationships to other human beings, that don't understand consent in relationships, that feel like they have to force themselves on people. Do something. Do the things that Paloma does. Oscar, ¿cómo estás? Hey, how you doing? Great reporting from Playas today. That was amazing. That was the best news. I was like, what? They actually got into that shelter on Playas, the embassy for the migrants that is usually padlocked from the outside that you can't even get inside of. Dang, finally, thank goodness. I'm glad. And like I said, we have to continually evolve. Mexico is continually evolving and changing and stepping up the game. And we here in the United States need to do the same. So let me tell you about the victims, in this situation. Pendeja for Trump does not care about anybody but pendeja for Trump. And that is the absolute God's truth. She doesn't care. Narcissists like that do not care about anyone else but themselves. What really happened is that she is an attention-seeking individual that has no self-control. A narcissist has no self-control. I guarantee you that there were people, including her husband, close to her that said, Paloma, this could turn out really, really badly for you. Knowing her personality, knowing her characteristics, knowing that she is a narcissist, they sat there with her and tried to talk her out of it and told her, she even talks about it in her video. Go back and listen to her video. She says, we have a lot of strong emotions or something like that in my family. And they told one of my family members had to tell me, you're not going to go on there and fight. You're not going to go on there and make us look bad and make yourself look bad. You're not going to do that. Okay? People don't do that. Duke, you had something to add?
Well, to America, one to you. Thank you very much. You contributed $5. Also, you made a comment
High
earlier.
five. Thank you, guys.
You made a comment earlier that you're a Trump supporter, but you've watched us and found common ground with both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing I've always noticed in our politics, because both Sydney and I are so wide in our politics that we're not pigeonholed into any specific thing. And it's that common ground that we work on. And I appreciate when you can find common ground, even though you might be politically different, but the common ground is what's important, because we are a community. And that's how we figure out how to work together and how do we solve problems. How do we educate ourselves? How do we change attitudes? How do we become more informed? and also basically help communicate with another person the way you feel and what you believe in, and to have that opportunity to have a back and forth. So very much appreciate people like you.
And, I think that our relationship is kind of like an example of that.
Yeah.
Because you've helped me to understand a lot of things I didn't understand. And because of your loving and understanding and response to my questioning things, you have given me that safe and free space to express myself so I can do that for other people. I mean, I feel comfortable doing that for other people and giving people room. Here's what I see as an American looking out for the safety of everyone that lives in our country. Here's what I see. I see that these different parties, some of the people with it, some factions within our parties are pulling us to the extremes. And what it's doing is dividing us as a nation. And who's getting benefit from that? Other countries are benefiting from that.
Mm-hmm.
I see other countries, there's geopolitical actors at work here, and they're trying to pull us apart. How do they take a country that has worked so well and that has been the most successful in the world, raise everything to the ground, and create anew? How do they do that? Division. That's how they do it. Division. So I believe that I need to be able to speak to every person in America, to everyone. I don't need to pander to a party because, well, for one, I can't stand the way that politicians compromise their values, compromise what they believe in. I am disgusted with politicians that are actors on a stage telling you what they think they want, what they think the majority of the voters they need will want to hear, but that don't honestly intend the best for our country. Those are the people that really upset me.
Plus, we're up here visiting my family, and we're spending a lot of time sitting around and talking.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
we aren't talking about politics, but we're talking about the work we're doing.
Sure.
And what people are getting out of it is they're getting details they haven't gotten because they haven't been watching Mexican news. They haven't been watching Oscar El Blue. They haven't been watching the Mexican crossing lines. So they're not very informed of the caravan, of the issues that we've been covering and talking about. And so we've had the opportunity to really explain some things to people, but we haven't talked about the politics of it because we haven't had to. My family's been eager to understand what's going on because they're just getting propaganda and they're not getting real news. So it's been refreshing because we don't want to bring up, politics on either side because we're diverse in our political views in the family and we're all getting along. But also we want to talk about things of significance, and it's been going very well.
Now, someone is mentioning that she is doing videos of her dogs. I find this fascinating because for someone that has been fundraising off of dogs for a long time, and that even in the comments of our shows has been accused of taking money in exchange for the medical treatment and or adoption of pets that she did not prove she actually treated, because that person said that, Paloma recently reached out and told them that the dog is dying. So what happened to the money put out for the dog? Who knows? And also, it didn't turn over the dog for adoption. These allegations have never really been responded by her. She's never had any public accountability. And furthermore, she's never really shown all the dogs or where they sleep or where they eat. She doesn't, she picks up a dog, she sticks it by her face and they uncomfortably shake or maybe lick her until she lets them go. But here's the part, guys. You're actually getting to see something, a little bit of something. She finally showed a little bit of something in some echoey building that she ran through briefly. We didn't really get to see what was going on in there. But what we do know is this. She's showing a little bit. And from that, you can glean a lot. from animal behavior to looking at the coat of the animal. You can see a lot. And I think that there's going to be more that's going to be revealed. So we'll continue digging. We will continue looking. Now, let's see. What else do we got here? Dr. Phil will not risk his reputation and or show to lie about someone. Exactly, Sandy. Not only that, Dr. Phil, I am sure, has like an army of lawyers. A literal army of lawyers. Because what they do, the nature of what they do is confront people's issues. They have to not only expertly figure out a way to confront a person's issue, to get them to do it on live television, but also to try to give those people some sort of relief. Get that person to go to rehab, to acknowledge they have a problem, to get them to go to get psychiatric help or medical attention. That's Dr. Phil, right?
Yep.
Obviously, and we've seen this in past shows, sometimes there are some people beyond Dr. Phil's help that never accept help, that never acknowledge that they need to fix something, that something is broke in them and they need to change. That happens. I guess we'll find out which one Paloma is when we see the show. But the point here is that's what the show is about. And in order to do that, you have to get the people to agree to a lot of things, because if and when in the ongoing process after the show, which most shows don't maintain, they bring you on. She tried to say it was like Jerry Springer or you know, like some other of these more fantastical reality shows. No, it's not. That's not true. It may be a daytime TV show, but there's a big difference. Most of those shows bring people on, exploit their stories, and then kick them to the curb and never talk to them again. Dr. Phil provides people with medical care, with dental care, with psychiatric care, with investigators, with lawyers, with all sorts of assistance. And he keeps following up with the family. That is different. That is very, very different. And that was what was supposed to happen and was probably still going to happen in terms of follow-up with Paloma and the story of Amy and Melinda. But what that also tells you is that for all her bluster and her playing cryptically some audio of the producer of the Dr. Phil show in some sort of veiled threat to Dr. Phil that they better be careful because, you know, she's got tapes on them and she could release those tapes. And they had made her agree that they were not going to be videotaped by her, because she talked about the fact that they make everyone agree to that and that they want everyone to check. And she, of course, says she didn't keep those agreements because she was in Mexico when she recorded those things that she recorded. And Mexican law applies to her. So she can violate the rights of Americans in America because she's a Mexican living in Mexico. How's that for hypocrisy?
Yeah, exactly. Except when she voted. The one time she voted.
That's Paloma's like, people need to follow our laws, except for me when I'm in Mexico. Then screw you, Dr. Phil. I do what I want. Those laws don't apply. Your laws in the United States don't apply to me. Really, not even because you feel like you should follow the laws of the United States as a dual citizen. You're talking about screwing over people that live in California. I don't know. Sounds like a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Sounds like a hypocrite. And it looks like a hypocrite.
Walks like a hypocrite.
It's probably a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Okay, what else do we have? I watched the damage control video last night saying she had to say all those words in the green room. Wasn't it funny though? After you saw it like the 50th time she repeated it, I was like, oh.
No, she gets tripped up on something. It wasn't in the green room. It was in front of a blue screen. Not a green screen, a blue screen, which, blue screens are like green screens, just different color, chroma key. So it was in front of the screen so they could insert a background. And she, for some reason, said it wasn't in the green room. So don't get tripped up on that, because then she'll spend all her time on a technicality of something and not actually talk about what really happened.
Paula Schmidt makes a very interesting point here. She said she thinks she is like Trump. I got news for her. I mentioned something like that on one of my shows, but this is what the real deal is on that, Paula. She doesn't think she's like Trump. She knows she's nothing like Trump. Here's the thing. She makes herself adjacent to Trump and other celebrities. She loves to name drop.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to get her face on national television. She wants to get interviewed. She wants to become notorious, and she wants to become famous. And so she stalks other famous people, and Trump is one of them for sure. But she makes herself adjacent to Trump because she knows people love Trump, many blindly, many unconditionally, many unquestioningly. And she portrays herself as such a person. She will tell you, I don't care what Trump does. I'm one of those people that just I'm one of those that unquestioningly gives loyalty to a celebrity figure, to a worship figure like Trump is for me. That's what I'm like. And she expects that she's speaking to those people out there in our country who have that kind of loyalty for party, for Trump, because she wants you to cloak her with the Trump brand and name and put her under that same umbrella, to put her, as it were, under Trump's proverbial wing and say, look, I can really do anything I want, is what I'm saying, because I'm a Trump supporter. In fact, I have a video which she was interviewed in Spanish, and they were talking about how she had become viral for being a Mexican, born in Mexico City, living most of her life in Mexico, and being a Trump supporter. She has dual citizenship, they add. Here's what she had to say. And she said, look, Americans discriminate against Mexicans. Even me. If I'm not wearing this Trump hat, they don't like me. That's what she said.
Wow.
That is what she said. Look, I live in North Dakota where a large percentage of the people are white. And I don't have to wear a Trump hat to make people like me or to feel like they're not going to discriminate against me. Like people are going to be racist against me if I'm not wearing a Trump hat. That's not happening to me. That's never happened to me. That's not going to happen to me. Also, I grew up in Iowa. Also, a majority of white people. Never felt that I had to wrap myself in an American flag, walk around saying the Pledge of Allegiance and wearing a Trump hat. Never did I feel like I had to do that in order to not be discriminated against. But pendeja for Trump says these things. She says them out loud. You haven't heard her say it because Paloma for Fraud said that in Mexico to Univision. What do you think about her saying that to Mexican people? About you, about Americans, about our country, about how we treat each other here. How do you feel about that statement that she made to Univision? Look, they discriminate against people in America. If I wasn't wearing a Trump hat, they don't like me either. That's what she said.
Wow.
She isn't liked here for who she is because she's Mexican. She would only be liked here if she's wearing a Trump hat because that's her shield, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just get it straight. She's using the president like a cloak. She's wearing the president literally like a hat. Let me see what else we got on here.
I can update you on a couple questions.
Yes, could you please? Thank you.
I want to repeat it.
Clara Rivera asked, what about statements accusing others of racism? How about statements she makes about other Mexicans, i.e. Indians of Mexico?
There are a lot of, I want you to understand something about the brand of racism that exists in Mexico. It's a lot more like India, where it's based on a caste system. For those of you who don't know what a caste system is, it's based on like a scale of color and admixture of different races, including people from Asia,
It's
Africa.
generally colorism.
It is colorism. And there was like entire charts made in Mexico that said, if you are full Indian mixed with Spaniard, then you're mestizo, and if you're this, and then you're this.
Had real repercussions in your economic ability and your rights.
Right.
The higher up on the caste system, the more access you had to society, to money, to land, to anything,
To jobs.
to jobs. The lower you are, the less access you had to economic society, social society. So it's different in the United States, where someone in a caste system, someone from a low caste can't climb up to the top one. It just
You can't. You're not
it's
allowed.
impossible. You're locked. You're locked into where you are on that caste system.
That's why the kinds of insults that Paloma uses are based on your category of the kinds of jobs that you could get in Mexico. Because, she calls me a tamale maker and a maid. I'm a paralegal. I own a radio station with my husband. Obviously, I'm not really doing those things, but I'm not ashamed. I don't live in a caste system in the United States, and I wasn't raised in a caste system. We were raised with American values here, where ditch digger, a construction worker, a plumber, a factory worker, like my father has been my entire life, are just as dignified, just as important, just as respected in this country as a doctor or a lawyer. In some cases, maybe even more so, as a politician, right? Maybe even more so. Because I didn't grow up in a caste system. I grew up in a country where middle-class Americans that were living in really nice houses and really nice neighborhoods with 2 cars, right? We're all working factory jobs, just like my dad. That's what I grew up in. I was proud of the fact, and my father raised me to be proud of the fact, that we were hardworking and we weren't afraid of getting our hands dirty. He raised me to be a woman that could cook, clean, sew, make my own clothes, make my own food, clean my own house, take care of a family, take care of sick people. And I learned how to do all of those things. I got certified to be a babysitter. I got certified in CPR. I got certified in first aid. And you know what else? He also taught me how to fix a car. He also taught me how to drywall. He also taught me how to, I had to learn a variety of things to be considered independent for my family members, all of which I am incredibly proud of being able to do. I started helping manage a business that my family owned in our hometown back in Iowa at the age of 12. So I'm not ashamed of doing, I'm very proud of doing manual labor, and that I can, wash my own clothes. The kind of people that look down upon hardworking people, individuals that are self-reliant, are the rich, upper class on the caste system people in Mexico that live that colonized mentality in Mexico. Those are the people that talk about how they don't do any work in the home. They don't cook for their family. Gross. I love cooking for my family.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the reasons that you appreciate
Yeah.
our relationship,
Yeah.
because we make great food
We make great food.
together.
And those tamales were excellent. It's a treat. It's people Mexicans in our community make tamales and we'll sell them, and it's a treat. Because it's
We
not
share them
something-
with friends and family.
We don't have tamale sellers in our community on every corner. This is in Mexico, and when we're in Mexico, we appreciate people make. So
Mm-hmm. And we're very proud of it. So, but I'm giving you that background so you understand why somebody like Paloma, who is a Mexican living in Mexico most of her life, doesn't understand American values and speaks in this caste system insult world that she grew up in and that she's used to insulting other Mexicans with. But I'm a Mexican crossing lines.
mhm.
I'm not like any regular Mexican. I'm a Mexican American. I was American born and raised.
Yeah.
So
Naturally born.
naturally born and raised. Okay. What else we got? Give me next question.
Mary Fairchild asked, any word yet on the lawyer group sitting in Tapachula that Oscar reported? Do you know anything about that?
The lawyer group that is in Tapachula that Oscar reported on, I am sure, is very similar to the lawyers that we have seen in Tijuana and that we are now seeing in Matamoros, Tamaulipas, and that we will probably see at other key locations where people need to border cross. What is similar about all of them is that they give misinformation to the migrants. They give false hope to the migrants. And the reason that they do that is because they're capitalizing on an opportunity to make money off people that are desperate to travel. So when the authorities of the government of the country that they're in tell them, you're not allowed to do this, because you're here illegally, excuse me, and you have to get the proper documentation issued by the government. When that fails, other people show up. Some of them are corrupt government agents. They're like, hey, I could sell you something on the down. Some of them are corrupt lawyers that go, hey, I can sell you something on the down low. The likelihood that those fake documents or doctored documents or, documents received from those clandestine locations are legit and that they will actually allow you to travel, questionable at best. My guess is that most of them are just fraudulent documents that, if checked, will not help that person. But by that time, they will be far away from that lawyer. And they're not going to really be, they can't demand their money back, They can't take any kind of retribution or demand accountability. So that's what's going on with these lawyers. They're capitalizing. They're like the disaster vultures. They're zoning in on a bunch of people desperate that are willing to spend money to get some kind of guarantee that they're going to be able to go to their place. And this is not just something that happens to migrants. It happens to tourists. It happens to anybody that isn't in their home country and doesn't know how things work. When we were hanging around talking with family and people were talking about their travels, etc., I talked about how migrants were being exploited and having people offer them, for this much money, you can get this, and you can get this document or this stamp or this seal on your passport or whatever, and you can go on. And they said, that happened to me. Two of the family members there said, that happened to me. And I got taken for this much money. and I didn't get to the thing that I paid for. And another person said, yeah, they tried the same thing to me too. And this is how we were able to get through that issue. So it doesn't just, these folks are, opportunists that will exploit whoever is there at the moment to exploit. It just happens that there's now thousands of people to exploit. So there's literally like a feeding frenzy, right? You can do the next one.
Yeah, well, actually, we should wrap it up. We should wrap it up pretty soon,
Sure.
because it's starting to
Okay.
get late, and I want to go spend some time with the family.
Oh, yeah,
We've been
we
on
gotta
for
go.
a little over an hour, so
Well, what time is it? Because
it's 2:30 or
Yeah.
2:15.
how many more questions do we have? I just want to make sure that we answered people's questions before we left.
There was none that I could like really put up on. So
That was it? Okay.
That was it, pretty much.
Let me just see here. Uh-oh. Sheila says that she's not receiving notifications. If you follow our,
I addressed that earlier.
okay, cool.
Because she hit the follow button, unfollow button, and follow again.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Facebook, and I told her sometimes we're too cool for Facebook. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes you're just not gonna get a notification.
Yeah, and if you follow our other pages, sometimes we also cross-post on those, so that would help. Okay?
Yeah, and here, make sure you click the bell,
Click the bell. Yeah, let's see what else we got here. Okay, I think that's it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Makes transporters look bad. Maybe that was her mission. I don't know. I think it definitely could be. People always like say, well, this is what I think that this person is doing. Like for Paloma, maybe she's always been intent on making Trump supporters look bad. All I look at is the outcomes, and that's exactly what she is showing. So, okay, folks, I think that will be it. Has anyone ever found Paloma's shop? Mary, I think that closed. I think she didn't pay the rent on that, and it closed.
Yep, that was answered. 2015, for not paying rent, she got sued for it in YA.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, somebody answered that. Thank you, guys.
Good.
All right. Why does Natasha Bell stalk people for Paloma? Oh, I think they are the same kind of person. I think that these people work in teams.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, one quick thing I do want to say. There was one reason I wanted to do this live stream, and I haven't talked about it. Just let me briefly really tell people what to look out for, okay? There's a lot of victims coming forward right now, and I want to speak to them. So for those of you who are still listening to what I'm saying right now, please share this information in the comments. Please share this information on this particular part of the show to others who might have information about Paloma or any other fraud that I have been exposing on my shows. What I've seen as a pattern is that these people are operatives. Think of them as agents working for an intelligence agency or some other kind of group, right? They work as a group, but they operate as if they're just individuals, and they don't have an entourage of people that are moderating, that are planning, that are driving them, that are organizing around them, that are their media allies. That's usually, though, how they operate with a large group of people. They may have a whole group of people befriend a target that they're going to go up against, and then they can start to rip that person apart from different angles when the time comes. Now, what I've noticed is that after someone exposes on a large scale what these folks are doing, like I have been doing recently with Paloma, for example, there will be people that will come forward as victims, and two things will happen. So look out for these two things. One, all sorts of very concerned supporters will talk to the victims, either in the comments of the show, or they'll reach out to them personally, lots of times on private messenger or even phone calls and text messages to say, wow, you're so brave. It's so good that you came forward. And then, of course, that validates the person that's the victim. So they feel like, okay, this is great. I'm talking to other victims. They feel like they may even have, found some good coming out of coming forward and sharing their shameful story or the story of pain and suffering that they've had to go through. And that's the tricky part. Because what that person does is groom the victim to feel useful, to feel supported, while they milk them for information, not only about other things that they have to expose, because victims usually come forward more than once, and other people that might be contacting the victim. Because what happens after a victim comes out is a lot of other people that have experienced the same thing want to talk to them. Not necessarily to me. They want to talk to them. Yes, lots of times victims come out and talk to me after a show. But many times they really want to make the connection with the victims that come forward. So if you know of victims that have said, Paloma's done the same thing to me, or you are one of those people, watch out, because you might feel a lot of validation and support, but it could also be a trick. It could also be someone that wants to get the new information you still haven't talked about over to Paloma or over to whoever is, the person you're exposing.
Mm-hmm.
And there are many of you who have come forward not only to expose Paloma, but other people too. So you know who you are if you're listening to me. Second thing that happens is groups on social media may be formed by the victims, supposedly. Here's the catch. It's not the victims. It is the victimizers who actually form the groups. Why? So that unsuspecting victims will go into those chat rooms, into those private conversations, join those private groups and spill their guts and share the information between them about all the things that has happened to them, so that Paloma or the other people that I have been exposing can go and attack those people before they speak and silence them. So watch out. Watch out, because that kind of thing may be happening even as I speak. It was one thing that I wanted to talk about on this live stream. It's very, very important. I was actually not sure if we would be able to make time for this live stream, but I said to Duke, we really have to try, because after the last several shows where I have exposed Paloma, people need to be ready. They need to be warned, and they need to be ready for when this happens. And how do you respond, right? So what's the response? First of all, don't join any of these group chats to spill your guts to these people. Don't give your heart and soul. Don't open up your heart and soul to people you don't know. If someone wants to share their story of and woe at the hands of Paloma or at the hands of any of the other people around her, that's great. You can listen to them and still be a compassionate person and be like, wow, that's, and if they feel like they want to share their story openly, that's going to be up to them. Okay. You can't really make people do anything anyway. And then the second thing is, when other people call you, other victims contact you as a victim, whether it's in the comments, it's DMs, it's calls, maybe you've been on my show, maybe you just said something and other people reached out to you, be very, very careful. Don't give anything away that can be used to silence you, to hurt you, or to re-victimize you and shut you up. Be very careful. When people are approaching you in that way, once again, just say, thanks for reaching out. I'm glad that it helped you. I hope that you found it revealing. if they tell you, or they start to poke at you, don't volunteer. Don't volunteer any information that wasn't asked. But if they ask, have other people come forward? Or they say things to prompt you like, wonder if other people have come forward with any new information. Zip it. Zip your lip. You don't have any right to talk about other people's victimization. You don't really have the right to reveal those secrets for other people. So don't. So don't. And, just be supportive of each other. Right? Just find ways to be supportive of other people that are going through the same thing. Folks, that's all I got for you. Hugs from Dakota of the North.
Yep.
Hugs from North Dakota to all of you. We're going to go spend time with the family. Y'all take care of each other. Give each other a hug.
Bye.
Bye.
Yes.
Are you sure you want to stop streaming?
Yep, that must be it. Okay,
Okay,
see
yeah.
ya.
Bye.